Hey guys, welcome back to the Lit Mag Lab podcast. I am going to circle back to something I covered earlier in the podcast, and sometimes, I like to add additional things or talk about something I may have missed, or even updates to various platforms, right? And it could be directories or sites that help us, in the Lit Mag world and space, or submission management systems in this case, right? So, for those of you unaware, or just tuning into this episode, I covered Subfolio a little bit in episode 36 of this podcast series. Totally listen back to that. This episode's gonna be very brief. I just want to show you the My Submission section specifically on Subfolio. And again, I run Dippy Lit Mag at Dippy Press, and I was, on Submittable, right, for a little over 2 years. And then prior to that, I was on other submission management systems, which I talk about, earlier on in the podcast series, right? And yeah, so I think that was what episode was that, guys? Episode 15, alternatives to submittable to. So yeah, Subfolio just technically launched this year, and then the system, though, that's part of Subfolio, like the overall right umbrella daemon, has been around, I think, since November 2019, or it was founded by Liam Pierce, and yeah. So I would say, thus far, we've been on Subfolio for just about, we reopened submissions around July 4th, like right after that. And prior to that, just setting things up. So I think it took me about like a couple of weeks to move things over, or I set aside time, a little bit to do it. And it varies, it depends like how many, perhaps how many category calls you have, how many templates you have in your submission management system, or the one you're migrating from, right? To really mirror that and set it all up again, right? So, I have to say the setup time varies for each lit mag and journal in terms of that, but honestly, it's not too bad, really. And I think it was absolutely worth it to move off of Submittable. There were a lot of things and like pain points, which I mentioned in this podcast, that I had with Submittable, and I feel like Subfolio is very neat, for especially teams, and they also have, lower end plans as well. So yeah, so you can see here, I'm on the website Subfolio, right? And then there's the Discover section, and that takes you out to the Discover page, right? So there's Dippity, and then you can see some other publishers and publications, presses. Not all of these are active. Some of these places are, perhaps have created trial accounts, right? And things like that. You can see CLMP, and yeah, and a couple other ones have popped up here, but there aren't many at this time. So we don't have, again, the same submission traffic quite yet that we had through Submittable's Discover page. So this is Subfolio's Discover page. And, again, as this grows over time, the traffic will change here totally. For right now, a lot find us through, like directories like Chill Subs, Duotrope, some of the other places, social media, things like that. And yeah, you can see submission calls are here, and filters. So very easy to find things. Now, I wanted to show you the My Submissions page specifically just for this episode, so it'll be very, very short. I didn't get a chance to show you guys this, mostly because I was short on time and I didn't have a submission through. So this is just a test one I made, for example, Dippy Lit Mag, just to show you guys what it looks like. So yeah, you can see it was received, the receive date, and then you can filter by, accepted, decline, in progress, withdrawn, and needs action, right? So, yeah, so I think that's very beneficial where you can see, you have something that needs action from you. I think that's great. And then, you have your addresses here, and then, get paid section, right? And so they use Stripe again, as I mentioned, right? And then back to submissions. So this is really what I want to show you here. So if we click on the, just example submission I made for you guys here, and I won't scroll all the way down, but beneath that, the bottom is like addresses, your mailing address, and I just entered some test information in there for you guys. But yeah, I see status received, and then you can. This is really cool. I think for lit magazine journals. So you can change your tip. You can add a tip in there, right? I didn't show you that. It wasn't enabled on the submission form. I mean, it wasn't visible for you at the time on that episode I did back in episode 36, right? So just know that Subfolio, it is, capable of taking tips and donations, right? Just like Submittable. But I love how, Subfolio has like an optional tip option, right? I feel like a lot of lit mags and journals, again, some of them, add additional check boxes and stuff in the form for those, right? And I feel like that is I think it's a bit tough for that. And I've seen some places even do some, eyebrow raising things where they have required tips, and tips should always be optional, right? And things like that. So, yeah, I really love this change tip feature in Subfolio for submitters, right? And that they can, insert tips as well and donations very easily. And yeah, you can see revoke submission. So that's the equivalent of withdrawing the submission. I don't know if the wording will ever change there, but it's essentially the same. You can add a comment, and then your personal information's there, right? And yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you what this looks like, the my submissions page. And then there's like a portfolio section, right? And that's where, for instance, like you can see like what your submission was, so I think that's cool that you can like pop open and see the submission. This is just a test for you guys to see what that looks like, but I think that's very unique that you can, pull up your files like that and view it, so it's not that hard. You don't have to like with like Submittable, for instance, you have to like go in a couple clicks, like try to download your files, and then sometimes you accidentally download like the overall entries you had in the form versus like the actual file. That's happened to me a couple times. So I think this is a great setup, like the portfolio. It's just an example for you guys. So yeah, so that's what it looks like, the my submissions page. And yeah, so be sure to listen back to episode 36 on Subfolio. That's essentially part one. This is part two. Who knows, I may do a part three. Submission management systems evolve over time. They add features, right, over the years. I'm sure, as time goes on, things will, change with Subfolio too, a little bit, maybe design wise. Who knows? I'm not sure like what some of the submission managers like Submittable look like, several years back when it started, but I'm assuming it's like night and day. So just keep that in mind. UIs change a lot, submission systems change, some certain looks and styles and names sometimes change in terms of like buttons and access, right? So just keep that in mind. So next up, I'm going to be covering chill subs. An update actually happened to chill subs that I want to cover very quickly for a few minutes, and I think it's very cool. So that'll be the next episode, yeah. And then we'll get back into covering some lit magazine journals and other topics. That's it. Very short episode, and the next one will be pretty short too. Again, please be sure to listen back to the Subfolio overview, part one episode. That was number 36, yeah. And yeah, so take care, guys, and check out Subfolio. If you're founding editor of a Lit Magger journal listening to this, or thinking about starting a Lit Magger journal, totally check out Subfolio a bit more. And yeah, I discuss it a couple times on this podcast, episode 15 and then 36. So just wanted to show you again the my submissions section because I didn't get a chance to fully cover that in the last episode I did on Subfolio. Yeah, so yeah, take care, guys, and have awesome days ahead. Yeah.